Hi, Jack. It's nice to have you here on the podcast. Really been following your journey with the RouteBuddies. How it's been for you?
Yeah, it's been going really well, to be honest. We're moving forward. We're at a really good stage of our product now where we've come from our beta and we're learning, well, we've learned a lot from our users and we've learned a lot from the feedback. And yeah, we're going full steam ahead. We're building a fully fledged version. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it, to be fair.
Right, great to hear. And can you tell a bit more about the app itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So RouteBuddies is the first app to give people safety in numbers. So our whole thing is giving people existing communities a platform where they can actually help each other out by being each other's walking buddies or running buddies, and actually giving each other that in-person support as well as the personal safety features that we all know and love, such as sharing your live location and gaining insights into the world around you and the dangerous streets that you may be walking through. But our core USP is our community and allowing people to help each other through our app. And that's our whole thing.
Is the target audience, user base, is it big right now? How many users do you have at the moment?
So we've got just under I'm not really comfortable saying the number in public, but we've got a good number so far.
Okay.
It's above 1,000. It's less than 10,000. But we right now we've just had a small user base. We limited ourselves during the beta to Cardiff only. So we wanted it in one city where we could just really market it really heavily and just test the app essentially. We also knew that if we released something on a global basis and it didn't work, that could be a lot of people who didn't return back afterwards. So we were really cautious in making sure that, well, this version, which we're just testing, will keep limited. So we had a small but quite dedicated user base. Everyone who signed up is quite passionate about our mission, which is really nice. I think we're in a lucky space in terms of startups, because it's actually something that socially people care about and people get behind and care a lot about.
So it really sounds like you have enough users to test the application, to test like features, to get their feedback. But coming back to how you identified this is the product that you want to build, how you came up with this idea.
Yeah, so I mean, going back a few years, I was really naive. I had no idea that street safety was a problem. I was a very stereotypical student, drinking, having fun, getting my work done, probably on the last day of the deadline, very typical stuff. It wasn't really until the Sarah Everard case, which really started, like everybody in the world, everybody in the UK at least, kind of stopped and was shook by this story of a woman going missing and taken by a police officer. It made everybody kind of think, and myself especially, what can be done, what kind of tools can be made to actually help people. And that was the initial thought process. I started brainstorming. Every conversation I had with somebody would be like, what about this app idea? And what about this app idea? Until eventually, it got to a point where I was having a conversation with a friend. They were saying about people who had created a WhatsApp group so that they could walk each other home. And that was my light bulb moment of like, that's a really good app idea. Like that would really be useful to have in an app so that no matter where you go in the world, you could have access to that functionality. So that's where it began. And then, it took a while and whittling it down to where it is now. But I'm sure you're going to ask about that. But that's how it started.
And did you test the idea using WhatsApp WhatsApp group, or you start to build it like straight away?
Yeah, so the big thing I did first was market research. So I first put out into all of those groups and into all the student groups, I put a Google form out where we first basically asked, do you think this is a problem? Do you think there is a problem with women being followed home? Do you think there's a problem for men, etc.? But then also asking, would you find use in an app where you could find other people to walk with, if it was secure? And these kind of questions. And the big thing for us was, because now with retrospect, I know how to do market research questions And the questions, looking back at them, weren't the best. But the thing that was really good was the response. We had like 660 responses in 2 days. So I remember like watching it, the number just go up in Google Forms. And I was like, holy crap, this is insane. Like, people are really responding to this. So that was when I was like, okay, this is definitely something. And the results in there too were really good. So that was the first step. But then, yeah, through the process, we've had to do a lot of testing. So even before we had built the beta, we did testing, and we invited people out to come and use the app who were just a couple of female students. And they just told us what they really liked, what they didn't like. And that helped us. But yeah, we've done interviews since then as well with our current users, and opened up portions of the app where people can give feedback and bug reports, all for that reasoning. Yeah.
And help me understand your thought process about how you picked up features to test, because I can imagine there were tons of features that you wanted to implement, and you mentioned that you even have running buddies, but you started with something small and tried new features. So what's your thought process was?
Yeah, so I think the big thing at the beginning was originality. That was always the big kicker of like, how can we do something different? And it was once, like I say, I had that eureka moment of, oh, we could actually help people help each other. It was about how can we, do that and get to market quickly and test that. So that was like the big thing at the start. It was picking the features that were really unique, that we knew that were a bit, dodgy. They weren't proven in the market, so we had to go and test it and make sure that we had got everything secure. And then the big thing as well was the security around that. So every piece of feedback we got, especially from our target audience of like women and students, and just people who were vulnerable in the streets, any feedback where they were concerned or, a little bit like apprehensive about joining because of a certain reason, really listening to that was a big part of picking some of the features which are more security based, which were integral for the whole operation. Without the security, it wouldn't work. But then it did transform more into like using the data, using the feedback, and really not so much picking features, but looking at our whole approach, taking a step back and just seeing how can we improve this? Where are we going wrong? And those are things like scheduling ahead trips, not limiting trips to just be walking trips, so that they could be running trips, they could be walking trips, they could be pram walking trips, leaving it ambiguous. And I don't want to say too much because there's some things we haven't announced yet, but basically looking at it from that holistic angle of like, right, what problems have the users commonly faced and how can we fix that in a way that, one, is scalable, two, isn't expensive, feature heavy, and three, is something we can make money from in the future, which is what we've done now.
So it's like, for our audience, so like, do you think this approach is actually something that everybody should use? Like, okay, coming up with a certain set of the features, getting users' feedback about them, like build them, test them with users, get their feedback, and like this kind of iterative process.
I'd say so. I think I don't want to sit here and say like this is the way you should do it, because I'm sure there are other people who've done it better, but it's worked quite well for us. I think the thing that I said to students in Cardiff was, firstly, validate your idea. Like, you have to validate your idea. Like, does anybody give a damn? Like, that's what you need to find out. And then step two is, when you found those people who give a damn, keeping them around and getting feedback and really bouncing off of them. I think if you're doing that and you're constantly listening to the people who really care about your product and, having ideas and advancing it, yeah, I'd say that's the way of constantly iterating and improving, which a lot of other people have said too. It's constantly asking the people who really care about your product, hey, is this working for you? And listening to why it might not be, and just repeating.
Right. Of course. In our private conversation, we talked about analytics. And I don't know if I may share this, your approach to analytics.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit more about this? Because like in my mind, analytics is one of the important things that you need to build into the application from day one, just to understand how users are use in your application, what features used most, and what are actually, hidden gems in the application, but users for some reason, are not using it, and because maybe some UX problems, right? So can you tell your approach about it?
Yeah. So I mean, first off, we messed up because I didn't put analytics in the first place, and we kind of knew there was some issues, and I knew that we needed to put them in. So what happened was, it was a couple of weeks in, and we were experiencing some problems, not as much usage as we had expected. Like people were coming from our website to the app, but then the numbers just weren't adding up with the sign up conversion. So that was like the first red flag where we were like, okay, we need to build analytics in. And we really, just dedicated that week. It didn't really take that long. All we needed to do was, when certain things were happening in the app, we just basically stored some data. And yeah, it allowed us to look at basically each page on the registration, where people were getting to, and then where they dropped off, as well as on the features as well. So when people were finding groups, when people were walking to groups, when people were, walking to each destination within a group, all of these key stages we were tracking to see, where people were getting to. And it really did help, because one key example in the registration, we noticed that people were dropping off and they weren't actually getting through the sign up. A lot of people would come to the sign up and fill out some of their details, but then they just wouldn't sign up. And looking back, it's quite obvious. It's because we were asking people to verify their identity at the same time. And if you're just somebody who's heard about this app on the fly and you need your passport to sign up, you might not have that on you. You might just forget to, you might leave it, say, oh, I'll sign up later. And that was what was happening. When we put in the analytics, we found a lot of people dropped off because either they didn't want to sign up to a new app they just heard of, it hasn't got credibility to them yet. They need to explore it a little bit more before they put in their personal details like that. Or they just, I don't know, I'm not sure why, but that was a problem. So we had to fix that. So we basically separated the two things now. So once we did that, the conversion went massively up. We started to get a lot more signups, and people might have explored the app a bit more and not did the verification, but we just started to see that improve. And as well with the group situation, we found that a lot of people were searching for groups, but not many people were grouping up. And that led to us really looking into the way that our system works, and really reshaping that around quite a lot. Yeah, if that makes sense. Sorry if I kind of ramble on.
Yeah. No. It's very interesting, because registration process, it always seems like, okay, this is like pretty straight away process, and like usually in the applications, okay, it's you need to input like your name, this and this and that, but sometimes like founders, they forget, okay, they're seeing your application like first time, right? And they don't know a lot about the functionality. And if you put a lot of pressure on the users on the registration, it might be that they will be scared, right, to share some personal details about them. So it's very interesting that you found this through using analytics, right, and identified this problem with the verification.
Yeah, it's especially useful, I think, just to have that. I mean, we were guessing it, but it was just nice to have that really solid understanding, proof to point to, like this is where people are dropping off. And that was with a few different things as well. It wasn't just that page. It was a few different aspects of the app where we've had to really deconstruct it. And yeah, it's been good.
Right. Did you have any problems during the development process, like something that you didn't expect, and actually it took maybe more time to develop something, like anything interesting, and any problems you experienced?
Yeah, so I think building a safety app as a man is, one of those double-edged swords where, well, it's not a double-edged sword. It's just like, from the outside, I have to try a lot harder because I don't experience this problem, and that can be a flaw. So a lot of the times, a lot of the things that I've struggled with have just been my naivety. So I know in the past when I created the app, I made it so that a guy could go onto the app and search for groups, and they would see a list of like guys and girls pictures and their locations where they were walking to. And, looking back, it's like, that is insanely dangerous. And that's one half of the problem, where it's having the assumption that everything's okay, reevaluating it from a dangerous perspective of how could somebody take advantage of this, and having to restructure it. So that's been a big part of the development process, where we've had to look back at it and look back at our work, deconstruct it, and reapproach it from a different angle. So even with that security, we didn't have identity verification in place, so we wouldn't know who people were, and that's a big problem when you want girls to be able to pick to walk with girls only, or guys to be able to walk with guys only by their own choice, and there's no way to verify that. The other thing that I really struggled with was I wasn't technical. I had an idea that I really want. Well, I was technical, but I didn't know how to make the app. I knew how to make websites. I had university where I was learning software engineering, but I didn't have any way to learn how to make apps for iOS and Android specifically. So I really had to take time to learn how to build the app. And, I can show you videos from 2 years ago or 3 years ago where the app looked awful. And it was super glitchy. It was really buggy. And, I built it all in Android. I finally tested it for iOS, and it was all broke. And I had to rewrite it all again. So that was a big thing for me. So learning that stuff and juggling that alongside university and my job, while I was trying to bootstrap this off the ground, that was a big challenge too. But it's all been worth it, and part of pushing the boulder up the hill and learning lessons as we go. It's been really positive, so it's been really good.
Wow, that's that's a lot. So you were responsible for the development. You were responsible for overall strategy, for talking with users. Wow, it's it's a lot.
It's good though. I think, when you do it for long enough, people start to notice. It's like people say it's manifestation, but it's not. You just do something and people start to see it. And now that people have started to see it, our team has expanded with other people who really care about our mission, who may not be able to dedicate all of their time, but they dedicate a couple of days a week to our mission and really make a big impact. And it's been really good. It's been really fruitful and really worth it.
So it's like you told them about the idea, and they decided, okay, this is something that I want to work on, right? How did it happen? How your team grow?
Couple of different cases. So Sam, I met through I was seeing somebody, and I met Sam at a bar, and Sam is a really good coder who basically worked in tech years ago, but then took time out of it and started to learn in his own time. So he bumped into me in the bar and said, "Hey, I think I saw you on Wales Online on the news." And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And he was like, "Oh my God, I really want to get back into industry. I really like what you're doing. Do you have any space?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely." And cut forward a few weeks, he actually told his job, "Okay, I'm going to take 2 days a week to work at RouteBuddies, and I can't work at your place anymore." So we've got him now on Mondays and Tuesdays, which is awesome. He's a great part of the team and really sticks in. I had Mary, who I was tutoring. I was tutoring her for software engineering. And I had said to her, look, if you want to come on and gain some real work experience within the company, something for your CV, you'd be really helping us, I'm sure, with the marketing as well as development. And it's just been like that each time. And recently we've had somebody else join on, Leo, and they're amazing too. And we're just seeing where they fit in on the team. They're doing a bit of marketing and a bit of development. But every time I'm asking them, what do you want to gain out of this? And we're making it a fair exchange. They're always gaining either experience or a positive work experience, something in their industry. So it's always really good. And of course, working on RouteBuddies and helping us further the mission.
And of course, having some fun.
Oh yeah,
having something great.
Way too much fun.
Okay, and the first public release, did you do it yourself, or you already had a team with you?
So the first release was me and myself and I, which was challenging, but I think probably for the best. I think it challenged me to learn how this system would work. So I think a mistake a lot of founders have is they hire a tech team or they rely too much on, external services. In this case, we have a technical founder, myself, who knows everything, who anybody at any time can come and ask me, hey, what does this really specific part of the system do? And I can answer. So that's really nice. But yeah, it was just me, and it took a while because of that.
And what did you feel about it? Like prior to the release date, accept some anxiety. What was your mood at that time? Did you feel some pressure?
Yeah, definitely. I think I definitely pressure, definitely anxiety are the obvious answers, but really excited. I think the big thing for me was I was just really proud to release something I've been working on for so long, because I'd been telling my family and friends about this for so long, and it was just one of those things where people were like, "Oh, that's nice, Jack. Good for you." And when I finally got it released and the news started to see it, that's when it became more of a real thing, and people were like, "Holy crap, Jack! Oh my god!" I had like people from my high school messaging me saying, "Oh my god, keep up the hustle, bro," and all this. So it just really changed from I wouldn't say anxious as much. I'd say actually it just boosted me even further because it became real, which was awesome. Yeah. But then, yeah, as well as that, I had a load of anxiety.
Like you turned the feeling I can do it into the feeling, okay, I already actually delivered something, so let's build upon it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Seeing all the support and just the excitement around it was very motivational.
And when you saw the first numbers, you released to Apple Store, right, as well, for the first release, or was it just an Android version?
Both.
All right, and you get the analytics there, downloads, etc. Like, did you check it every day? Okay, how many people downloaded my application? How was that?
Yeah, we were checking it. To be honest, the main points that we checked it was for when we did activities that were meant to be influencing the number. So, for example, if we had gone out and done promotion on the streets, we'd go out and see how well that did, because we were always trying to identify, which method was the most effective of marketing. So, going out on a table in the middle of a student area was one of the best ways, as well as going out into town and actually talking to people. So that's one way we really used it. But I don't know, at the very beginning, yeah, I was checking it every day. But once we took our foot off the pedal in terms of the beta, that's when we stopped checking it really, because we were getting all the feedback that we needed. We were getting everything. We were quite happy with where we were. But very soon, once we start putting out our new features, that's when we're going to be really checking it, comparing it to our marketing, seeing how effective we're doing. So yeah, definitely. But we've taken a bit of a step away from that recently while we just work on the next features and the next steps.
Quite tough question to usually. What was the business plan look for you? Like, did you create it at all, or it was like you are just a passion and just will to create this application? Like,
there was, I did create a business plan. I was lucky to be in Cardiff University, where they have a great enterprise scheme. Shout out to them and shout out to Georgie from there. They helped me create a great business plan. Well, I say great. They helped me create a business plan, and it was, very different to where it was now. But yeah, I think that was always a big part of it. My mind has always been quite entrepreneurial, and I've always thought, how can I make the most impact while also making money without being unethical? So how can we basically make impact without charging an arm and a leg for something that really should be free? And that challenge has always been something that attracted me to the business side of this. How can we make something profitable out of walking, which is free? And it should be free, How do you make something profitable out of that? That's a challenge, and I think we've solved it pretty well. But I don't want to obviously, give away our secret herbs and spices. But that's always been a big thing. So starting out, that was a big thing. Going to the university, getting support from them, And then as well as that, doing things like Tramshed Tech's Startup Academy, and other startup accelerators, which really helped me to accelerate myself and to refine the business plan. And it was just a really gradual process. I'd say the idea developed more than the business plan, though, in the sense of, the idea was the big priority and making sure it was really safe. That changed a lot more than the business plan.
Any specific advice about creating a good business plan? Like maybe 1, 2, 3 advices?
Definitely find an accelerator or find support online. Find a place to get help from, because it's good to do it yourself, but it's always helpful to get help. 2 is really dedicate some time to it and just put your head down, have a coffee, really put your head into it, and just I don't know. Number 3, I'd say have a Google, have a Chat GPT, and use all the tools available, because there's a lot of good things out there. Those would be my top 3, but really I'm not too confident with the building of the business plan. It took me a long time. And really only this year we've turned around a business plan where I'm like, yes, this is it. This is the one. So I'd say just keep working on it, keep changing it, keep updating it, because it's never finished. Yeah, that's the main thing.
Great advices. What's your vision for the future development of the product? How does it look like?
So the big thing is making this a social revolution within an app. That's the big goal. So we want to be, for the next few years, focusing on building value around these communities in our app, and building value specifically for individuals on the street. So hopefully building partnerships with key brands and, key industries such as travel and festivals and more, to really enhance the experience there, while also giving these communities a space to enhance server safety. A big thing as well in the very far ahead future, because that's our big thing. Our big thing is just community and giving the people who deserve a space to help each other, that space to help each other. But then after that, I think there's a really interesting gap in the market for wearable solutions, for solutions that can connect people to our app through technology that doesn't necessarily have to be charged. That's a big caveat of our app. And I don't know, that's something we'd like to address, whether you can turn on your phone or not, having access to the emergency tools within our app. So that's something to look at in the future. But the big vision is global use of RouteBuddies, building a really safe world where no matter where you go in the world, you can find your buddies. And that's the big dream.
Oh, that's great plan. I mean, and great vision. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Jack, it was really pleasant to talk to you, and thank you for this half an hour that we've been here on the podcast, to understand your experience, to have to learn from you, actually. So thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, everybody go download RouteBuddies as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good rest of the day.